A serious claim has ignited fresh controversy between Colombia and the U.S., highlighting a tense and complex situation in the Caribbean. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has publicly stated that a boat recently targeted and bombed by the United States was indeed Colombian and carried Colombian citizens on board. This assertion directly challenges the U.S. government's narrative and has been firmly denied by the White House, which labeled Petro's statement as baseless. In recent weeks, the U.S. military has conducted multiple strikes, at least 4, on vessels in Caribbean waters, resulting in the deaths of 21 people. The American administration maintains that these attacks were aimed at narco-traffickers operating in international waters. However, key details remain undisclosed, including concrete evidence about who was aboard these boats or what exactly was being transported. This lack of transparency has prompted widespread criticism from nations across the region, with many expressing concerns that the U.S. actions may violate international laws. Further complicating matters, the U.S. Senate recently rejected a proposal that would have prevented then-President Donald Trump from authorizing military force against these vessels. This legislative effort, spearheaded by Democratic Senators Adam Schiff and Tim Kaine, came under sharp partisan debate and was narrowly defeated by a 48-51 vote. President Petro responded to Senator Schiff's public remarks by underscoring that a new war scenario has opened up, the Caribbean. He asserted that indications show the last boat bombed belonged to Colombia and carried Colombian citizens. Petro urged the families of those affected to come forward and report their losses. He emphasized that this is not simply a fight against drug smuggling, but an aggressive campaign over oil resources, which he insists must be halted by the global community. According to Petro, these aggressive acts are not isolated incidents, but represent a broader threat against Latin America and the Caribbean as a whole. While Petro did not share specific information about the identities of those on the boat, the U.S. government has remained silent on the background of those killed in the strikes. The White House, meanwhile, retaliated by demanding that President Petro publicly retract his accusations, reiterating that although policy disagreements exist between the two countries, the U.S. remains committed to cooperating on key issues like regional security and stability. U.S. military strikes, which began on September 2nd, allegedly targeted vessels near the Venezuelan coast suspected of carrying illicit drugs. The campaign has raised significant legal questions and geopolitical debate, with some commentators questioning the legality of these targeted bombings in international waters and the broader goals behind them. Adding to the controversy, a leaked memo revealed that the U.S. has now classified itself as being engaged in a non-international armed conflict. This designation appears to be a strategic move to justify wartime powers, including authorizing lethal force against so-called enemy fighters, even if those individuals do not pose an immediate violent threat. The Trump administration has already labeled several drug cartels across Mexico, Ecuador, and Venezuela as terrorist organizations, thereby expanding the scope of U.S. military and law enforcement responses. But here's where it gets controversial. Does this aggressive military stance against drug traffickers blur the lines between anti-drug operations and undeclared warfare? And is this the right approach for respecting the sovereignty of Latin American nations? Or does it risk escalating tensions and causing unintended harm to innocent civilians? These questions remain hotly debated, and the truth behind the recent bombed vessel fuels this discourse even further. What do you think? Is the U.S. justified in its actions under the banner of combating drug trafficking? Or is this a dangerous overreach that threatens international law and regional stability? Share your thoughts below.